Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the English Blog, a blog of English teachers by English teachers for English teachers. We are the English Blog team. I'm PJ.
I'm Christine.
And I'm Sarah.
You are watching Season 5, Episode 3, Business and Industry English. We're going to answer some interesting questions such as, what are some qualifications I need to teach business English? What are some of the challenges I might face when teaching business English? And what other types of professional English are there besides business English? These and other questions are ones that we will address in this video. So please watch till the very end because we have some very wonderful insights to share with you guys.
Don't forget, we provide customized lesson plans and weekly vlog and blog content related to ESL education. If you're interested, please do send us a message at www.theenglishblog.com, or you can reach us on our Facebook. We would love to hear from you, hear your ideas for upcoming content, vlogs, and blogs.
Please come find us across social media. You can find the English Blog on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever platform you prefer. Find us, talk to us, ask us questions, leave us comments. We love to hear from you. And we especially thank our radio listeners at 90.5 Good Vibes FM in Mindanao. You can catch us at 7 p.m. on Fridays on the radio, and you can also find us on digital radio through Good Vibes Facebook page. So check that out.
Our first question for today's episode is, how is teaching business English different from teaching conversational English? And if it's all right with you ladies, I'd like to start us off with the answer for this question, and then I'll ask you your thoughts. I've recently started teaching business English myself, and I find that with business English, it's very context specific. So you're looking at vocabulary that applies heavily to the workplace. And when you look at role play scenarios with your students, you should be focusing on different types of situations they might encounter in the workplace, ranging from informal to formal, so that they get a wide variety of circumstances to practice their English. You'll also notice that you'll be dealing with a different text because, of course, the focus, like I said, is going to be different. And so you want to keep those things in mind when you're teaching business English. I would say in general, your scope is going to be a little bit more narrow and focused. Christine, Sarah, thoughts?
One of the things I've noticed in teaching business English is oftentimes in my classes, the people already have a quite high level of general English. And so sometimes it's a really interesting problem that you have where people speak English pretty much fluently, but they have a problem with register. And you focus a lot more on that, I think, in business English than you may in a general English course, especially if your students already have a high level of conversational English, but they make errors in register or choice of diction that don't work in the, as PJ said, it has to be correct in a professional context. And so, yeah, in my experience, generally people can read well, they can write well, but sometimes they just don't apply things into a professional context. You have to work on that, how to do professional English, how to distinguish casual English from professional English, when most of what they learned as English is casual English.
Yeah, I agree with PJ and Sarah. I agree that with business English, it tends to have a lot more focus because it is an industry specific thing. And I also agree with Sarah that people who learn business English typically do speak English already at an advanced level. And they just have difficulty with like certain nuances of the language that they just need to work on. And yeah, when you're teaching business English, you're chances are you're not going to be teaching kids, you're going to be teaching adults. So if you are used to teaching kids, well, adults, they tend to have goals of their own already, like specific goals. They already know what they want. So it's important to gauge exactly what they want and what they do so that you can tailor your education to the student.
Our second question for today is, what sorts of qualifications do you need to teach business English? Or perhaps another way to look at this question might be, what kind of background or experience might be helpful when you're teaching business English?
To play off of exactly what Christine said in the last question, I would say you do need some kind of training or qualification in teaching adults. It's different than teaching children. The CELTA, if you take that, will prepare you for the basics of teaching English to adults. Um, you need that, as Christine said, there's all kinds of different motivations that adults have, different styles that adults have, that it is useful, especially if your past experience is really only with children. I would say a qualification or a formal training in teaching adults would be very, very beneficial. Um, and then as far as things that aren't true, like English teaching certifications, as far as I know, there's not a true business teaching English certification that you have to have that everybody says do this. Um, but of course, you need domain knowledge in whatever profession that you're teaching. You can't teach business English without knowing the basics of, um, you know, office, running a business, money, finances, that kind of thing. You need to understand the content in order to understand not only what the people need to learn, but how they're going to use it. Because as PJ said, it's so context based. You need to know that context so that you know what they need to know, because they may not know or they may not be able to tell you.
Yes, I'd like to add to what Sarah said. And I think that knowledge, an overview of how a business works is really important, because you're going to be prompting them also for different scenarios. So if you don't have a lot of knowledge in the business field, then I suggest you do a little bit of research about how traditional business works, and at least know a little bit about the departments that make up a typical business, like sales and marketing, human resources, those kinds of departments, and a little bit about what they do. Because um, for example, if you're given a textbook to teach business English, say one that's called In Company is the one that I'm using right now, then they're going to talk about these different departments. And if you want to be successful at prompting your students, then you'll have to be able to give them a, like, again a context based scenario in which they're going to need this language. Because an adult's focus is totally different than a child's focus. They want specific answers to specific situations. So, and other than looking and doing the research about a traditional business and what kind of departments there are, how it runs and all that, I want you also to think about your own experience. Whether, even if you're a teacher, you've had to deal with employers, you've had to deal with contracts, you've had to deal with agencies. You should be bringing and leveraging all that knowledge in your classes and using it to your advantage. Okay, it might seem at first that you don't have a lot of knowledge, but if you look at your own work history, you can bring in a lot of that as a scenario for the role play, or to explain it as a context to your students.
Going off of what PJ and Sarah said, it definitely helps to have some business background, whether you have a business degree or experience in the business world in some way. And if you don't have that, I would definitely recommend having certification in teaching English, whether it's TEFL, TESOL, or CELTA, as Sarah mentioned. Interestingly, I don't have a great deal of business experience. I don't have a business degree, but I have taught people in the business world, such as Fortune 500 CEOs. Humble brag.
So, what are some activities that work well for business English students? Team?
I have an activity that I think might be the root of all of the other activities that you'll talk about, which is like Christine, I don't have a lot of business experience other than my own ESL business. Um, so what I like to do, and what I find my adult students like it too, is I send them out every week. I ask them, pay attention at work this week. And when you see me again, bring me something that you needed to do, something that you wanted to do, something that was harder to do than you thought it would be. And usually they bring in lots of emails that they have to write, and they weren't exactly sure what word. Usually they're very good. They bring in a draft. If they'll say, I was working on this, can we do this? Um, and I would say emails are very popular. And I've had lots of people ask me, since I've taught in the US as well, for like voicemails. People have trouble when they have to listen without the person being there in front of them. Um, and so people will bring in real voicemails, and I've made fake voicemails that I send to people, and I say, I want you to go listen to my voicemail and give me the information that I'm asking for. So one great way, because it is so context specific, is to send your students out. They're adults, they're invested, they want to do this, and they're currently working usually. So they have real world experiences that they can bring into your class and that you can use as the basis for a lot of activities that they obviously are really engaged with because they created it. It's what they want to know, and it makes your job as a teacher a little bit easier, especially if you haven't done their job before. You may not know what kinds of topics are the ones that most frequently come up, what kinds of English they have to use in their work life every day, and that experience will give you a lot of insight into their 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 context, how they need to use it.
So, one activity I like to do just to get things going and getting their minds thinking in English is I like to do the categories game, but just specific to to stuff that they would encounter at the office. So the categories game, it's a great warm up. I would say so three categories that I use in my business English classes are office stationery, office furniture, and office equipment. Those three. And so office stationery, we everybody goes around as a class, and you can even do this online, and we just say all the kinds of office stationery vocabulary that we know. So uh, pen, pencil, eraser, stapler, and so on. And then office furniture, conference table, desk, chair. That's kind of limited. I don't really do that unless, we're running out of categories. And tech is great because you can start with headset and point to your headset. That's a new word that they automatically know. And then mouse, keyboard, laptop, and so on and so forth. Just to get them thinking. It's a great opener, and it's specific to the business workplace.
So, we were talking earlier about how business English is a very specific type of English. And there are types of business English that you're going to teach. And what you're going to teach specifically depends on your student. Some students may work in finance, some may work in HR, others may work in marketing. So, you definitely want to tailor the activities to the student. Don't simply teach them business English, teach them business English that is directly applicable to what they do in the workplace. And let's say a student who works in marketing, they might benefit from social media activities. Maybe you can do like an English Twitter activity or something. Or for a student who works in HR, you might want to role play interviews so that they can know how to interview potential employees. So, yeah, a needs analysis is very important. You want to know what exactly your students want, what they do, and what they need.
Our next question for today's episode is, what are the biggest challenges of teaching business or other types of industry specific English? Thoughts?
As we were talking about before, I think the biggest challenge is a lack of domain knowledge. It makes it hard to know the vocabulary that they need to learn. It makes it hard to know the context in order to be able to build like authentic role plays and authentic experiences for them. And I would say if you're more, so we'll go a little more in depth since now this is the question. If you don't have experience, I've taught more different industry English than I have business English, but we'll talk about that next. And I've taught things that I never in a million years know anything about. And at the beginning, you always have to go and take a dive, take take a deep dive sometimes, and you have to learn about. I've had to learn about finance. I've had to learn about horses. I've had to learn about sports, elite sports, and you just have to go in and do that, because I think that is the biggest challenge, is your lack of knowledge and understanding. And when you teach adults, even more so than kids, I would say, they have an immediate meter. They know if you have no idea what their job is and you have no idea what you're doing, what the context is. If you're just going the best you can, but you don't really understand what their job is, and therefore you don't understand their needs. Um, and they will pick up on it right away. And yeah, adults expect authority, they expect knowledge, and you need to have it.
Okay. As Sarah mentioned earlier in this video, adults who want to learn business English already have an advanced level of English skills. But there have also been business students who have few English skills who also wanted to learn business English. And I had to teach them business English, which is very specific, along with general English, which is quite broad. And that for me has been a huge challenge when teaching business English students. I would say that you have to make sure that the students first have a strong foundation in English before you delve really deeply into business English. And while you're teaching them basic English, you can sprinkle in some business English. Then, once they've had a strong enough foundation in English in general, then you can have a stronger focus on business English. But yeah, that has been my biggest challenge.
Our last question for today's episode is, besides business English, what other types of professional English have high demand? So, if it's all right with you, ladies, I'd like to take this question first. So, in my experience in the Philippines, the BPO industry is huge. So, usually there's a large demand for product knowledge English, customer service English, and soft skills English. That's what I see as the biggest demand in terms of English skills here in the Philippines. And in fact, that's how I started my career as an ESL teacher. I taught near hires, voice and accent training, also cultural induction, and of course, soft skills, listening skills, and customer service skills. And useful phrases in English that they could use on the phone for different types of scenarios. So that's what I've personally encountered. I also got a job offer to teach IT personnel uh, English, and I actually turned it down because of my domain knowledge, Sarah. Yeah, that was the one challenge I saw, and I knew that if I didn't understand the tools that they were working with, then it would be really hard for me to explain to them how to use it correctly or how to use it grammatically. So yeah, there's also I think that's another upcoming industry, IT.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize, because yeah, I'm doing this master's in digital humanities, and I guess I never really thought about it, but also almost all IT systems are actually in English. If you want to code in Python, it's in English. And so there's a whole slew of yeah, the IT world is based on English. And so it goes well beyond just talking about IT or presenting ideas. And it really goes into the root of how can I write JavaScript in English? So yeah, BJ, it's one of those things where you do need a bit of domain knowledge to be able to do it really successfully.
I don't have much to say on this because I don't know many other types of professional English. I've mostly done business English, but I have heard of aviation English. It may not be a type of professional English that has high demand, but it's a very, very niche type of professional English. And I've heard many times of pilots who got in trouble or something bad happened because they had very limited English. They knew just enough English to pass the pilot examinations, but not enough to safely fly a plane. So that is a bigger problem than we realize. And interestingly, there are very few materials out there for aviation English. So someone out there needs to work on that and change it for the better. And then I teach at Enderan Colleges, which is known for its hospitality and culinary arts program. So I have also taught a little bit of hospitality English. So I guess that's an interesting fact that that does exist. And yeah, that's pretty much all that I know in terms of other types of professional English.
Can I talk about other types of professional English?
Go for it.
Okay. Um, yeah, since I've taught in the US and Europe, English in Europe is also kind of the lingua franca. And so you'll get a lot of people looking for legal or medical English, especially to go. I mean, a lot the medical journals are written in English. Um, Two, you can sometimes I do work of medical like editing as well. That's a whole side that's kind of adjacent to English teaching. If you have those skills and you have that knowledge where you can actually read it and understand, then you can also do translation or editing of these non-native papers. Um, Besides legal English, medical English, and IT English, which I think is huge, all sorts of global industries, as Christine mentioned, aviation, transport, logistics. Um, and then also, yeah, sometimes you'll find industry English in the strangest of places. I stumbled into teaching a lot of professional athletes, and there is an actual professional athletic language as they are working with coaches that might not be their same native. It's also English is also a lingua franca in many sports arenas, especially the bigger it gets. Um, and people want to be able to coach people in English because being able to coach in English opens up everything you can teach. So yeah, I'm currently working with an equestrian coach who is looking to improve her coaching horses English, um, as well as like professional tennis, golf, beach volleyball. And it's nice because it's like Christine said, it's niche. So if you can find it and you are good at it, then you can really build a really interesting specific clientele. And it can be nice as the teacher to teach something other than general English, if you like it. And like I said, I don't know anything about horses or playing professional tennis. But you do some research and you use your student as a resource, and you can learn a lot yourself, makes it interesting, and you can teach a lot, and you can really help somebody. It's really fulfilling, I think, to teach business and industry English because you get it's useful right away. People will say, "Oh my gosh, that thing you taught me last week, I did it, and it made my job easier. This client understood me. I gave the presentation and it went well." So it can be really, really fulfilling because they've got these really concrete things they want to do. And once they do it, everybody feels a lot better, a lot prouder.
Right. I think that sums up our episode for today. We would love to know your thoughts, so please do comment, let us know, send us a personal message on our Facebook. You can also send us a message at www.theenglishblog.com. And if you're interested, we provide customized lesson plans and, of course, weekly vlog and blog content related to ESL education.
Please reach out to us across social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, all that good stuff. Let us know if you've taught any sort of business or industry English, if there's an industry that you want to start teaching in and you're not sure how to get started or where to find resources. Talk to us, let us know anything about business or industry English, as well as any future topics. Special thanks to our partner, Good Vibes, 90.5 FM in Mindanao. You can listen to us on the radio every Friday at 7. And you can also listen to this and all sorts of other programs on the digital radio that you can find linked on our Facebook page. 90.5 Good Vibes FM.
Once again, we are the English Blog team. I am PJ.
I'm Christine.
And I'm Sarah. Thanks for watching.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye.